And now I think we're recording. Which
Fantastic.
way does that want to go? Like that? Okay.
I'll get
Tickers,
good week the
knickers.
Patriots have. That's a good, nice touch.
Oh yeah, I try to really. We'll get into that as well. Okay, and then I always have to remember how this. Someday we'll have a producer or something like that, right? That does the
Ooh, we should get a budget for that.
talk to guys. All right.
Brandon Ayuk.
The Bros and Bourbon Podcast is a presentation of Godzilla Media. Listener discretion is always advised. You're a discreet viewer, discreet, discerning, something. If you're listening to this podcast on Spotify, or if you're watching it on the Godzilla Media YouTube channel, where you can find all the great Godzilla Media content 24/7, it's on demand to you. I'm Barry Gadboys, part of the Bros and Bourbon Extravaganza, along with my bro Dan Gadboys in the Capital Region studio over there.
Cheers.
What are we drinking over there? What do we drink at Capital Region studio tonight?
I am on what do I have written? The Bullet. Little Bullet bourbon this evening.
Sweet. All right, that's a good choice.
Classic. Yeah, I'm a big Bullet guy.
Over here in the Granite State studio, we're working on some more Four Roses, the single barrel Four Roses. Really nice stuff. I've been working. This is getting empty because I've been working on. I'm sweating, working
Good
hard
sip,
on
good
this.
sipper.
It's a good sipper, and it's good to hydrate. Working hard. Fantasy football. Listen, I've been depressed because it's September 1st. It's the most miserable time of the year. Summer's coming to an end. It all sucks, except for one thing. There's only one redeeming thing about the fall. Football is back, baby. College football is back. NFL football is about to be back. It's the only thing that will get you through to February without wanting to jump off a bridge, basically, for me.
You know, college football started last weekend. We got a couple games tonight. I believe.
Week 0.
Yeah, week 0, right? Brought to you by Coke Zero. Fantastic.
What is it? I mean, college football, as brilliant as college football is, and as big as the playoff is, as much as college football has done, who the hell calls something week 0?
That's a good question.
Week 0. What are you doing? You doing a fantasy draft over there?
I'm doing a fantasy draft, and I just forgot that I bet on the Penn State Purdue game tonight.
How'd that go?
I don't know. I'm trying to find a score here, but I can't.
All right, well, I'll tell you, while you look that up, we are celebrating the return of football. Football's back. It's September. Turn those calendars. Get ready to try to avoid your family every Thursday, Sunday, and Monday during the football season. That's what we all have to do. We're also getting ready for fantasy. So you got all your daily fantasy and your season-long fantasy games. And here at Godzilla Media, man, we have got a big time announcement to make. The wait is over. The football season is about to begin, and so you are getting ready for NFL Week 1 action with DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the NFL. To celebrate the return of football, DraftKings is giving new customers a can't-miss offer. You bet just $5 on any football game, and you get $200 in free bets instantly. You want more action for opening night? Everyone can experience the thrill of DraftKings early win promotion. Get up 7, you win. Bet on any NFL team of your choice, and if your team leads by 7 points at any point during the game, you get paid instantly. Did I say instantly? Instantly, even if your team loses. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code 518 to get $200 in free bets instantly when you place a $5 bet on any football game. That's code 518 only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or older and physically present in New York. Bonus issued as free bets. One early win token issued at opt-in, moneyline bets only. Deposit and wagering restrictions apply. Eligibility and terms at DraftKings.com/football terms. Gambling problem? Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. That's a big deal. So the DraftKings Godzilla Media connection, this is where you can get all your football talk, all your fantasy information. We're not going to just help you with the draft here on all the Godzilla Media shows. We will help you manage the flaming train wreck that you're stuck with after all the injuries that'll have piled up by the first couple weeks of the season. We'll help you through it. This is the place to be. And don't forget, DraftKings is the fantasy partner that you want to be working with. That is daily fantasy sports, season-long fantasy sports. win you some money, or at least have fun losing it. I mean, I don't know, either way. But
Yeah, I'm
DraftKings, that's where
not
it's
looking
at.
great. I got a parlay here of Penn State minus 3.5 over 53.5, and I have Purdue up 3-0. So this is not looking great. Not
Mm,
off to a stellar start.
there you go. Well, that's good. Good thing Joe Biden gave you 10 grand to pay. Oh no, wait, that was for student loans, not for
Yeah, not
daily
for me, man.
fantasy.
Oh wow,
That's
he's
too
gone
bad.
already.
That's too bad. All right, so Dan is in the middle of a fantasy draft right now, and we are getting ready to draft. I got a couple drafts coming up. Everybody, this is draft season, right? Get down to places like Hooters, hook up the Wi-Fi, hook up the beer, fill your belly, draft your team. This is the time of year when it starts. And so tonight we just thought we would keep it simple. We'll keep it very simple. We're going to give you our take on the three key positions that will fill out your roster, that's going to help you win week to week. Excited, super excited about football. How excited am I? I'm so excited I dug out my Patriots Super Bowl 38 hat. This is the Super Bowl from Houston, the
A few years
Jake
ago.
Delhomme Panthers. But listen, that's the thing about being a New England Patriots fan. Capital region folks, I know you don't necessarily want to hear this, but the thing about being a Patriots fan is you have a lot of work to do. You say, oh, I'm going to put a Pats hat on today. Which championship am I going to celebrate? Which kick-ass team do I want to look back on? I'm thinking about this team, the Teddy Bruschi, Teddy Johnson, young Tom Brady, Adam Vinatieri's atomic leg. But as a Pats fan, you got to just figure it out. Like, if you're Tom Brady, you got all those, wow, wow, I got all the hardware. Check it out.
Is that your favorite Pats team? Super
Uh,
Bowl 38.
I mean, it's hard to say that my favorite Pats team isn't the first one, right? I mean, because that was at that point in time,
Good point.
the Patriots could have never won another game, right? I mean, they're beating the Rams in
Right.
that Super Bowl with that crew, that unlikely crew, after what everybody believed was the disaster of a lifetime with Bledsoe going down and some lanky kid from Michigan jogging in there that you
Right.
were like, who is this guy? Where the hell did he come from? So that, I mean, beating the Rams in that game was like, wow, it is incredible. But I love this because I think by this team you understood the defense, the core of that football team, in addition to Brady, was the defense. I love me some Teddy Bruschi, Teddy Johnson, Ty Law, Laura Malloy. I mean, so many great defensive players. That's a fun team to watch on defense.
Yeah, I mean that team was unbelievable on defense. And actually, I think what we could see from the Patriots this season, not to get a little ahead of ourselves on fantasy talk, but I think you're going to see a similar defense there. I mean, Matt Judon is a monster off the edge. They've
Beast.
done some really nice things. So I actually think you could be looking at a similar story here of an offense that manages a young, inexperienced quarterback with a defense that just punches you in the mouth. And I think that's kind of 22 years later, what we're talking about with New England now.
Yeah, having said that, the Patriots on offense, although I think they're going to win plenty of games because that's what they do. I would stay away from Patriots on your fantasy team offense. I would literally, run like a shoplifter from pretty much. Hey, look, and I love Mac Jones. I think Mac's gonna have a good season. He's a good guy to have on your bench, but I don't see anybody on the Patriots offense that you were going to want to start in your daily fantasy or season long fantasy situations until maybe injury time comes around and those running backs might get you a little something here and there. The problem with the Patriots, you never know. Somebody's going to go off, but you have no idea who it is. So
Yeah, 100%. Sorry,
you could you could
I'm
bet
back to back picks here.
the guy who went off last week for the Patriots. The only thing you know for sure is you want to put him on the bench because the Patriots never feed somebody 2 weeks in a row. That's my
Right.
that's my take on that. The guy who was hot last week, sit him down. He's going to play like 5 snaps.
Yeah, that's a very good point. That's a
That's that
smart
is
take.
that is a Belichick thing. So
Yeah.
we're gonna go through the fantasy thing. Here's and you can go DK Nation, DraftKings Nation has their overall standard fantasy rankings. And their PPR rankings too, depending on what type of league or what type of game you're going to play. I just sort of am looking at the overall rankings as I sort of gauge where I'm going to go with my fantasy drafts, where I think you might want to go with your fantasy draft. Obviously, you're going to tailor what we say to some extent. There's going to be some things we're going to tell you you're going to want to avoid. Maybe we're right, maybe we're wrong. You can always hit us at Bros and Bourbon Pod on Twitter and tell us we're crazy, tell us we were wrong, beat us up a little bit, or you can tell us we were right. But depending on your PPR versus standard, I can't imagine anybody's not playing in a PPR league at this point. PPR is so
Yeah, at
much
least a
better.
half point PPR. I think everybody's got at least a half point.
It's so superior, so much more fun. If you're not playing a PPR league, you should look around. Take a good look around at the people that are in your league with you. They're probably boring people. They're not very exciting. You should question the league you're in.
That's a
All right,
solid
so
take.
80 proof. 80 proof. That's where we start out. That's where we start pouring it on the Bros and Bourbon is always at the mm, pardon me, at the 80 proof level. So at 80 proof, we want to get our starting lineup going. We're talking about who is at starting quarterback. Who is your starting quarterback? So DraftKings will link you out to Fantasy Pros, and Fantasy Pros is a great website because you can sort by position. They're going to give you sort of tiered rankings and all this stuff. They put at the number one quarterback, they put Josh Allen. So here's your tier one quarterbacks: Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Pat Mahomes, and Lamar Jackson. 4 tier one quarterbacks.
I don't hate those. Those are good, solid quarterbacks. I mean, those are great quarterbacks right now. Lamar Jackson gets some points in the ground. Josh Allen gets some points in the ground. Herbert's got some legs. So I think there's some points to be made there. My philosophy with quarterback is to actually work backwards. So I like to pair a big time receiver with their quarterback, right? So I'm double dipping. That's kind of my logic. So I kind of go early on receivers, and then I work my way backwards to see who's still there from quarterback. So like in the draftman right now, I took Keenan Allen and Cooper Kupp in my first 2 picks. So then I was watching Herbert and Stafford to kind of figure out where I went from there.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted Herbert. Herbert went a little earlier than I was comfortable, so that means I ended up going with Stafford. So when I got Stafford, I then took Allen Robinson. So I kind of tried to pair my quarterback where I'm kind of double dipping those points, and I try and do it on an offense I know is going to score some points, right? So like,
are these dings? Is that you drafting right now? The dinging?
Can you hear that? Sorry.
Can we hear it?
So that's
dogs all over the Bros and Bourbon universe, or their ears are go boop.
Yeah, sorry. Let me if I can fix that. Hang on a second. So I try and pair that quarterback with somebody who I know I can get some points from. So if I'm smart about it, right? Like I'm not gonna go take Geno Smith because I have DK Metcalf. Like that's not the point I'm gonna make. But I'm gonna make that move with Justin Herbert, with Matthew Stafford, with Russell Wilson, with somebody at that level.
All right, so here's you just said Russ, right? Here's your tier 2 guys per the DraftKings preseason ranking. Kyler Murray at 5, Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow, Tom Brady, and Russell Wilson. That's who they put in tier 2. Here's what I think. I will tell you. This is my opinion. Josh Allen is not going to give you what you think Josh Allen's. The Bills are becoming a more complete football team, and that's going to mean Josh Allen's fantasy value is going to diminish just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Yeah. But again, if I have, Gabe Davis or Stephon Diggs, I might go Josh Allen.
You know what the worst thing when you have right, you got Diggs and Josh Allen throws him like a 90-yard bomb, but you're playing somebody who has Josh Allen, so you're like,
yeah, right.
But then you're like,
right.
Oh God damn it,
right.
It's a
That's
wash.
why. So it's almost like die by the sword, live by the sword, right? Because you're really riding that. I'm counting on these 2 guys are going to hook up. I'm counting on Cooper Kupp and Matthew Stafford to go off. It happened for me last year in this league. Hoping for it again this year. So I agree with you. If I'm not getting Diggs or I'm not getting Davis, I'm probably out on Allen. But again, I think it's important that you're pairing that up and you're kind of putting those guys together.
I'm looking at these tier 2 guys, and I'm in on all. I'm not a Kyler Murray believer, as we've discussed. I think Kyler Murray has a lot of headroom, but I got to see more from Kyler Murray before I'm willing to go there.
He's so short.
But Burrow.
No, dude, I disagree. I'm not sold on Kyler. I think it was very telling that contract he got this year to put more effort into. There was a stat last year. He was like 8-0 with 12 or 13 touchdowns through the first 8 games of the season. Then, through the last 9 games of the season, it was 3-7 or 2-8 or whatever. It was way, way, way down. More interceptions than touchdowns. So he's not putting in the work. I think people are studying and they're learning that. You also take Hopkins out for the first 6 games because of that PED suspension. I'm out on Murray. I wouldn't take Murray.
I don't believe Murray's in tier 2. I don't believe
No,
that.
I don't see that. You know who, sneaky pick, though? We talk about tiers. This guy's probably not in any tier. And I realize I might, I'm going to get some shit for this, but I like Baker, man. I think Baker's got a chip on his shoulder. I think he's got some talent. Oh, shit, that guy won already.
So Baker is in tier 4.
Is he?
For the DraftKings ranking? Tier 4 at 26 overall.
Yeah, I don't. 26 out of 32.
So below Baker Mayfield are Zach Wilson, Davis Mills, Marcus Mariota, Mitch Trubisky, Deshaun Watson, who was not going to play, and Kenny Pickett. Would take you to 32. So Baker's low. I mean,
so he's
you
behind.
could get.
I don't know if I don't think he's top 10. I don't think he's top 15. I'm probably going to take with my last pick of the draft, assuming he's still there, and make him my second quarterback.
Well, you're not going to take Daniel Jones ahead of Baker.
I wouldn't take Jones ahead of Baker.
I wouldn't take Justin Fields ahead of Baker based on where the Bears are at right now.
No, I wouldn't either. So I don't. Go ahead.
And they put Fields at 17.
Yeah, so I don't see. I think
I'm selling
Baker's in that 15 to 18 range. He's right there with Fields. I think he's a little bit ahead of them for me because I also think it's a Matt Rule contract year. He's got to deliver. He's out. And I think with Baker at quarterback, the guy hasn't had a good quarterback on that team yet. So I think this gives him a real opportunity. And I think Baker's pissed, dude. And I love dudes with an edge and a chip.
Yeah.
Talked to Tom Brady about that. He made a career out of a chip on his shoulder. So,
hey, man, you got something to prove. I mean, you are one step away from being Johnny Manziel right now. You got You got something to prove.
100%. So if you're me, I've got my Matthew Stafford. I need that backup. I need that bye week covered. I need whatever. Baker's my guy. That's the direction I go in.
All right, here's what I'm telling you. The tier 2 to me, tier 2 is where the nuclear arsenal is loaded up in the DraftKings world, right? So they're looking at, they got Kyler Murray at 5, sell it all day long. Jalen Hurts at 6, I'm listening. But then Joe Burrow at 7, Brady at 8, and Russ at 9. I believe that Russell, you talk about chips on shoulders, I think Russell Wilson's got something to prove. And I think Denver could be sneaky this year.
The problem with Denver and the problem with Russell Wilson is that division is tough. Kansas City, while they lost some good players, they lost Tyreek Hill. I think Kansas City is still Kansas City. Vegas is good, man. Vegas is a really good football team. It's funny. I'm texting Levac here as we're doing this fantasy draft, and there were like 6 Raiders off the board at the first 3 rounds. Jacobs is gone. Waller's gone. Carr is gone. Adams is gone. Renfro's gone. So, I think Max Crosby off the edge. Great. Look about those edge rushers. He's got Khalil Mack and Bosa in LA. You got Max Crosby in Vegas. You've got some dudes that are going to rush the quarterback. So I like Russ. I like Denver. I think they're a solid team. I think the division is stacked. But I would be a little hesitant to take Russell just because of how difficult 6 of his games are going to be.
All right. If everybody's on the board when you're picking a quarterback, who's your quarterback? Who's your go-to?
Man, again, I really like to pair it with the receiver. That's really the philosophy I have. So I like Kupp and Stafford. I like Allen and Diggs. I wouldn't even hate Justin Jefferson and Kirk Cousins. I think that would be an interesting piece. But if we're taking just straight quarterbacks, man, I think Lamar Jackson, what he does for you on the ground, I think he's going to have a huge year with Andrews and Bateman. I think he's really poised to step up to the next level. So if I'm just taking a quarterback in fantasy football, I'm probably going Jackson. But again, that's not usually the philosophy that I go for.
Here's what I'm gonna tell you. The guy that I think is gonna have a big year, I think, is Joe Burrow. I think Joe Burrow he's got a chip, but he's having fun. I think that team has got some speed on the outside, got hands on the inside. I like me Joe Burrow. Now my heart is Tom Brady. I will come up with a reason to pick Tom Brady in virtually every fantasy draft. If I can pair him with Mike Evans, to your philosophy, I think that's not a bad combo this year.
I'd like that a lot. Yeah, no, that's great.
But I'm high on Joe Burrow.
That's a great philosophy. My worry with Burrow, and I love Burrow. I actually really like the Bengals. It's a really good team. Super Bowl losers, man. Those guys who fall short in the Super Bowl really struggle the next year. And I really think they could have a real tough year this year. I think their division's really tough. I think Baltimore is going to be really good. Cleveland's defense is going to be nasty. While they may not win a ton of games because of issues at the quarterback position, they're going to have a really good defense. And then I will never count out Mike Tomlin. I'm looking at this draft now. I saw Chase Claypool come off the board and a couple other Steelers. And I'm like, you don't even know who's throwing the football. Is it going to be Trubisky? Is it going to be
Right?
Pickett?
Yeah.
Who's it going to be? But I just won't count out Tomlin. So I think that's another division, AFC West, AFC North, where that's tough, man. I love Burrow. I love Jamar Chase. Love me some T. Higgins. They got some nice players, but I worry about their ability with 6 games being against those teams.
The thing about this conversation is that this is exactly why the NFL is the NFL, because as much as I am, my redneck heart loves NASCAR so much, and I'm so excited. Like, NASCAR is going to start in between, so they're going to the NASCAR playoffs, 10 weeks of playoffs. Thursday nights on USA, they're going to do an NBC produced show called NASCAR Race for the Championship, which is like Drive to Survive, which has been so popular for F1 on Netflix. All that stuff is going to be awesome, but the NFL is the must have, must watch, can't miss, because to your point, virtually every team in the league is going to be competitive. There are going to be teams that we think are going to be great right now, virtually. I mean,
Yeah, you're
virtually,
fair,
right?
fair.
There's going to be a team we think is going to be pretty good. It's going to shit the bed. There's
Yep.
going to be a team nobody sees coming that is going to be a juggernaut, and you can't miss a minute. You cannot miss a minute. That Raiders Chargers game to end the regular season last year. That's the NFL. Like, put that shit in an IV and put it right in my arm. Give me that all fall long, man. That is the NFL, and that's what makes it awesome.
Yeah, I totally agree. 100%.
All right, we got to step it up. We got to pour something a little stronger. Show's rolling on. It's going to go 90 proof right now. We're going to go to the hands team. Not talking about Joe Biden, not touchy. I'm talking about the
Oh,
hands team, like
oh,
wide
oh.
receivers and tight ends. Um, I think that's as the passing league evolves, right? I mean, back when we were first playing fantasy sports, it was all about the running back, guys like LaDainian Tomlinson you're fighting over at the beginning of those drafts. But now, to me, the wide receiver is that's where your money's at, right? You got to have at least one big time wide receiver on your team, or you're going to be sucking wind all year.
Yeah, 100%.
The
And
rankings.
I'm especially the PPR league, man. I am all about. I don't know why this sound will not stop. I am. It's actually getting louder. I think.
Is that you
Uh,
winning? Are you winning money right now, or
I wish. I wish I was. I am not winning money. I'll tell you that. You'll see that when this draft gets published. I'm all about receivers, man, and I count tight ends in that too. Like I want to load up on receivers. They're the guys that get you points. They're the guys to stack your bench. They're the guys that are gonna, for me, dictate where my quarterback goes, what direction I go in quarterback. And they're typically, we'll get to running backs in a little bit in my take on running backs, but receivers stay healthy for the most part. You see them play 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 games pretty easily. So receivers and tight ends. And, my philosophy here too, again, the quarterback and the receiver, putting them together, but then the tight end position, right? Like, to me, Mahomes lost Tyreek Hill, which is a huge loss. And
huge?
if you watch those Chiefs games, what really Tyreek Hill did was Mahomes would hit him 3 yards downfield, and Hill would turn it upfield and make a 17-yard catch out of it.
Yeah.
And he was really a safety blanket for Mahomes. So you take Tyreek Hill out of offense, to me, Travis Kelce becomes so much more important as that safety blanket for Patrick Mahomes. So I love Travis Kelce early. I also like to look at young quarterbacks, or maybe, not that fourth, fifth tier quarterback. So for us, or for me, it would look at I like Kyle Pitts a lot. I think Mariota's going to need him to be a big target because he's really all he's got. And I like what he can do outside of outside tackles. I think he's a nice player, good hands,
I
he's
feel
got
like
some
I'm in a
speed.
casino right now.
Dude, I don't even know how to help you. It is what it is.
I mean, you just start dumping quarters out on your desk, and then it'll
Yeah.
complete the.
I apologize to all 3 of our listeners. This is
There might be four.
it might be 4. I don't even know. Shut
All
this
right,
thing
here's
off.
the let me real quick. Here's the way it's tiered out in the Fantasy Pros ranking. So tier 1, only 3 receivers. Tier 1: Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, and Jamar Chase. That's it. That's your tier 1.
Yeah, and that's probably the right tier, I think.
And so right behind that in tier 2 is Diggs, Devontae Adams, Debo Samuel, CeeDee Lamb, Mike Evans, Tariq Hill, and AJ Brown. That takes you to the top 10, but only Jefferson, Kupp, and Chase are tier 1 per these rankings. You're buying that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's solid. I'd also be interested in some situations, right? So like Green Bay's obviously lost Devontae Adams. Who steps up there? I think Alan Lazard is a pretty good year. I drafted him in a pretty good spot. Um, so I think he has a nice opportunity to be successful. Hunter Henry, kind of talked about tight ends a little bit. I think he's a bargain pick somewhere. With Mac Jones, another safety blanket. Belichick loves his tight ends. I think he's an interesting position pick. I think value is there at the receiver position. Another guy who thinks interesting, Kadarius Toney in New York. I think the Giants are going to be garbage, but I'm curious to see what Brian Daboll does with Toney. I think, Galladay has really struggled even in preseason, so Toney's going to get more opportunities. I think what he can do, in kind of that Tyreek Hill mode of like short passes from explosive plays. I think Toney's got an opportunity there. So
let me
I think
hit
there's
you.
a
So
ton
here's
of
you
value at
mentioned
receiver.
you mentioned tight ends. So here's your tier 1 tight ends. Andrews in Baltimore, Kelsey at the Chiefs, Pitts in Atlanta, Kittle, 49ers, and Waller from Vegas. They're all considered tier 1. You got to go all the way down to 13 in tier 3 to find Hunter Henry, but I think he's a value pick at the tight end.
Yeah, I do too. I don't think he's your starting tight end. I think you try and get that Pitts, Kelsey. Mark Andrews is another really good choice. Even David Njoku in Cleveland, I think is interesting. He's another value guy. He's not super high on a lot of boards. But I think there's some opportunity there, to have some good performance. And receivers are just, to me, that's Keenan Allen, Mike Williams with Justin Herbert. I think if you can pair that receiver quarterback combo, it really makes for a fun, interesting year. And if you get lucky, like I did last year with Stafford and Cup, or you get that Joan Diggs and Josh Allen connection, I think you got a good opportunity, or Mark Andrews and Lamar Jackson. I just think putting those guys together, to me, you draft your ball catchers in a PPR league, and then you work around the rest of the team from there. And I think quarterback's where you go. I think one
All right,
feeds the other.
here's a scenario that always concerns me. So if you look at these rankings, Jamar Chase is number 3 and T Higgins is number 11. Both of those guys faster than a lucky guy on prom night. Great
Yep.
hands. I mean, two guys who are A-level wide receivers, but they're on the same team,
Yeah.
right? I mean, they're on the same team. So if if you believe there's only so many balls, right, to go around.
Yeah, I think you got to start looking at what are the odds of an injury here? What is the injury risk? What is you know, I think look at the Rams a little bit. Cooper Kupp had a huge year last year. If he takes a step back a little bit, who steps up? Is it Allen Robinson? Is it Van Jefferson? If you look at Cincinnati, like you said with T Higgins is a monster, man. But if you're saying, all right, they're going to start doubling Jamar Chase, does it give you an opportunity to use T Higgins and different stuff? And then again, the offense. I think Kenny Golladay is wide receiver 1 in New York, but I don't think he will be for long. So, does that give you the opportunity to, find that that Kadarius Toney or Wendell Robinson to kind of fill in because you don't think that wide receiver 1 is going to step up, or you think he's going to get hurt, or you think he's going to have a down year, or you think he's had such a huge year, he's made such a namesake. They're just going to try and shut down Jamar Chase every week. Is that going to be it? So T Higgins will see some balls.
Here's a guy I think is underrated. To tell you, is Juju Smith-Schuster stepping into that. You talk about the Tyreek Hill vacuum,
Man.
and I would leave Tyreek Hill in the vacuum because I am not a believer in Tua time. I think that's going to be a slog for those guys. I just
Yeah,
don't
I
see
think
it.
Tua is going to be tough, but I'll tell you, man, those Steelers receivers outside of Pittsburgh, Antonio Brown, man, Mike Tomlin has some way of pulling guys together and getting the best out of them. I don't know how Juju does
You are
outside of that.
you are denigrating the guy who's bigger than Jesus coming to Red Rocks. Okay, so AB. Look, here's the thing about AB. AB could have been great outside of Pittsburgh, except for the fact that his head is firmly planted in his asshole. He's up to his neck in his own asshole. So, look, AB's otherworldly talent, but can't get out of his own way. I think Smith Schuster with a good coaching staff in Kansas City and Pat Mahomes, who's got a cannon. I mean, Mahomes is a real deal. I just think Juju, they got him at 32. I would put him in the mid-teens.
Yeah, I think I'm not sold on Juju. I don't know. I give me Pringle on the Chiefs. I think he steps up a little bit. I think he's a nice value pick. It's just the front end of these drafts, man. You've got to nail your early picks. You've got to hit in the first couple rounds, or it's a long season for you. And then once you get past there, you've got to get a little creative and you got to find value. And I think I just don't know if I love Juju in that situation.
This is where it gets hard. I mean, because you look at guys like, I mean, Kadarius Toney's at 44. Chase Claypool sitting down at 47.
Yeah,
Um,
and I think you got the
you
same
know,
issue with both those guys, right? Is who's throwing the football. And I think to me, the only difference is I think you see Tony a little bit more like running back, wildcat. Tony was a quarterback at one point. So I think you get a little bit more with him in some unique situations. Whereas with Claypool, you're really banking on Pickett or Trubisky to get their shit together. And they might. I like Mitch. I'd love to see him do well. I just don't know if that's the right, best case scenario.
and you got some guys that's this is the wide receiver league it's a wide receiver driven league. So even down in like the tier sevens, right? You have some guys hanging out down here that I think are interesting, right? Julio Jones, right?
Yeah.
That could go
Was
either
he hurt
way.
now? Was he hurt? Is he
What
coming
is
back?
what is his injury status? I thought he's come back. Hold on, we're gonna check it live. Might not be the same player, definitely not washed up, blah blah blah. So as of 10 hours ago, yeah, he's coming back.
Okay.
He's back. And he's going to be on the Bucks. So he's interesting to me. Van Jefferson, who you mentioned, sitting down here at 70. I even think AJ Green is an interesting late round pick who could actually bring you some legit value. Um, you obviously take a bunch of receivers, so you're gonna get deep in this. But AJ Green, I just think after a horrible year last year, come back from injury. I just I don't know. I'm not sure he's not going to be matchup worthy this year. I think you're gonna see some games from him that are going to be pretty interesting. But it's deep. I mean, it is deep. You could get down into that's the seventh, eighth. I mean, there's some guys right down even down into the eighth tier that are kind of interesting to me. I mean, I don't know. I'm not convinced that you can't find value in some really, really interesting guys. But I mean, nothing's gonna, if you got Jamar Chase, Cooper Cup is a stud in like every phase of the game. If he stays healthy, he's a game changer. I think that here's my quick question, because I love this guy, but I think a lot of people are questioning what's going on in San Francisco right now. I'm a Debo Samuel fanatic, but
Ah, man.
do you stay away from? I love him. I love
Here's
him.
I go back to who's throwing the football. I'm not sold on Trey Lance. I know Jimmy G just came back or whatever happened to Jimmy G. But
But you got disarray. I mean, you have disarray, right? To some extent in that situation anyway.
yeah, oh yeah, for sure. That's tough, man. He also just got paid, and I have a hard time. Maybe I'm just a Albert Hainsworth scared. But I'd be nervous. That's a place I'd be real concerned.
Give me a tight end just to put a bow on this. To me, I could be wrong, but although he's ranked fourth, I think there's George Kittle potentially and everybody else, assuming the Trey Lance can get him the football. Waller also sitting there at fifth to me is like Waller's a beast.
Yeah, Waller's huge, and I like Kittle because I also think Kittle's a nice safety blanket. I mean, he's a big body, square shoulders, gets over the middle of the field. He gives you a nice target. If you're a
Oddly
guy
enough,
in Trey Lance,
Kittle's value may be higher with Trey Lance because you're going to be looking for that outlet guy who can just
yeah,
take the
I agree.
ball.
I agree. I
You
mean,
know,
I think Trey Lance is going to have a short, a short check down list, right? Like he's going to have a 1, a 2, and a done, right? So, the play is going to roll out, and he's going to have nope, not there, nope, not there, get rid of the football. And so I don't think this is going to be like Tom Brady or some of those more veteran quarterbacks when we get the opportunity to look around the field, do some check downs, play some stuff. I think Trey Lance is going to be quick, and I'm sure Kittle's going to be high on that list of check downs. So I like Kittle. I would go Kittle early. I went Pitts over Kittle. Kind of the same logic, right? Like I kind of think Pitts will be that blanket for Mariota. A little different in the sense he's a smaller body, but he's got real good hands, and I think he could give some opportunity to the Falcons. But I like tight ends, man. Give me some tight ends. I took Hunter Henry late. I just saw Higbee go off the board for the Rams. Oh, this guy just took Devontae Parker, who I was going to take. That sucks. So I feel pretty good, man. I think there's a lot you can do with the tight end position and the receiver position. That's to me that's the bread and butter of fantasy football. You want to do well. Get guys to get you points. Get catches. Get touchdowns.
Get touchdowns. All right, so we go 100 proof. Our last category, the category that I think used to be the most important, maybe not anymore, but critical, right? You got to have production at every position in most leagues because of the competitive nature of the NFL. If you're in particularly a smaller league, right? I mean, every team's got competitive guys, so you got to put the right combination together because it's so hard. It's so hard to not score points in the National Football League right now. So the question is, who carries a rock? I'll give you the tier one guys. Tier one running backs: Jonathan Taylor, Indianapolis; McCaffrey in Carolina; Derrick Henry, King Henry; Dalvin Cook, and Austin Eckler. That's your top five. That's your tier one guys.
How many times is McCaffrey gonna fuck you before you just completely stop taking him at first overall? Like the dude gets hurt, and that's my hot take, right? And Gaz actually just texted me, giving me shit about this. I'm a zero running back, man. Like I will give
You have
me
to take
all.
one.
I will, but give me all the, um, give me all the receivers, give me all the tight ends, give me a bench, give me a quarterback, and then I'll figure out what's left at running back, right? So I took Hines, Naheem
Yeah.
Hines, the guy who backs up Jonathan Taylor, because Jonathan Taylor went first overall this year. I think he gets hurt. I don't think he has a full season. So give me the dude who backs him up, right? Because that offense is going to go through him. Philosophy-wise, they're going to run the ball a ton. I want the guy who's going in there when Taylor goes out. Similarly, last year with the Giants, Saquon Barkley was a high pick. Everybody, this is his year, yada, yada, yada. The dude from the Raiders was his backup last year. Booker. I can't think of his first name. Booker. Took Booker, had a ton of reps from him. So give me those backup running backs. Give me guys who can make some catches to backfield, like Cam Akers for that reason. But I am not whatever. I could care less about running backs. You give me good receivers, give me a good quarterback combo, and I'm all in on that.
All right, here's what I'll tell you. I'm in with you on Christian McCaffrey. I would avoid Christian McCaffrey like kryptonite. I love him. I love him, but I'm not. I mean, I am not giving up prime real estate to draft Christian McCaffrey. I think it's just a recipe for heartbreak. Jonathan Taylor, though, Jonathan Taylor and Derrick Henry to me. I think their value is undeniable. I think Henry's obviously durable, and I think Jonathan Taylor is going to prove to be durable. I think Dalvin Cook is a good pick, and I'm 50-50 on Eckler. I think Eckler is going high at number 5. But I'll tell you, I'm looking down this list and I see some guys. Leonard Fournette at 14. I think with Todd Bowles coaching Tampa Bay, if Leonard Fournette stays healthy, there's some work to do. I
That dude
think
put some weight on in the offseason, though. He
that's
rolled his way into
so did
camp.
I.
Yeah, you playing running back for the Buccaneers, buddy.
No,
No, dude.
no. I'll be running back to the fridge and get some beers during the Bucks game, but
I actually like Eckler. I think he's got good hands in an offense that, again, Herbert's a really good quarterback, but I think having a nice check down piece is important. So I think that's Eckler's a nice player there. I just don't love a lot of running backs, dude. I really don't. I'm taking backups. I'm taking third down backs. A.J. Dillon up in Green Bay. He's a running back too behind Aaron Jones. But that dude's a short yardage back. He's a touchdown getter. He's a guy I like a ton. I just, to me, give me a running back who's going to play every week, get 1 or 2 catches, a touchdown here or there. That's what I want. If your team is built around a running back, you are built not to go long. Because the minute that running back is out, and they will be out, you're losing games. If you waste that first pick on a running back and you pass on guys like Kupp or Allen or Pitts or Devontae Adams or, one of those premier pass catchers because you want to take a McCaffrey or a Taylor or a Barkley, I just think you're asking for trouble.
here's the pick that I'm gonna make. I got a hot take. Incoming hot take. We should go back through this show in like December and talk about how stupid our hot takes were. But a guy that I think it has a lot of value, and I think you get him late in your fantasy draft down in Duval is Travis Etienne. I think Etienne's going to get a lot of playing time, got a lot of pop in those legs, and Trevor Lawrence
Good hands too, man.
not going to be throwing that ball 50 times a game. So I just
No,
think
Etienne's got good hands. Levac actually took him pretty early in our draft, and I agree. I think that's a good pick. I like him. Or even James Robinson is probably going to back him up. I think is a nice pick. Or you could even, one thing I've done in the past is take both running backs, right? Like if you can get Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, you can get James Robinson
right.
and Travis Etienne. Maybe that's where you can kind of offset those injuries and offset those touches. I don't put a ton of stock in running backs. I just think that the there's such a variable every year to who gets hurt, who has big plays. I just think if you take a running back early, it hurts you, especially in a PPR league.
So just to be clear, you're not crazy about running backs. Let's just
Yeah, I think that's and you'll see right. So right now I've got 2 picks left, and my running backs are Cam Akers, Naeem Hines, and Jamal Williams from Detroit.
I
So
don't
I'm
think
not.
Williams is a guy who might have some sneaky value, I think.
Yeah, I mean, again, is Swift going to get hurt? Is Swift going to get a lot of touches? That's really what it boils down to, right? If he doesn't, I think that becomes an interesting situation if Swift doesn't play a ton. I like Detroit, man. Maybe I just like Dan Campbell, but I want to see them do well. So I'd like to see Williams get me some good points, get me some short yardage gains, get me a couple catches here and there, and be a third down option. I like him.
All right, so let's do this real quick. We have a bill to pay, and then we're gonna do, for the fun of it, Super Bowl predictions. We're gonna predict Super Bowl winners.
Ooh, I
Just for
like that.
just for throwing darts. But first, we got to pay some bills, right?
That's paying bills, and I like to pay my bills at Mohawk Honda. The team can find what you're looking for by searching our lawn or the entire Eastern Seaboard just for you. But the real opportunity for you right now is either trading in or selling your vehicle. Mohawk Honda buys cars, and in some cases, you may be able to sell your car for more than you paid for it. The supply chain is still facing challenges, which creates a selling opportunity for you. And as always, the team of Mohawk Honda will make your buying experience very easy, or your selling experience. You know them as Cars with Cam, Trust Trav, Cars with Kern. Well, sorry, Trust Trav Landry, Lewis the VIP man, Morales, C-Mac, Let's Make a Deal McKenna, Drive with Deanna Coles, or you just go right to the head man, General Manager Greg Johnson. At Mohawk Honda on Freemansbridge Road in Scotia, they go out of your way to please you, and they want to buy your car.
That's your boys right there, Mohawk Honda. All right, so
Dude, somebody just took Odell Beckham. What a fucking idiot.
Well, I think he could get signed somewhere.
Yeah, and have his knee like magically come back together.
All right. Wow, you got rage, huh?
There's a lot of this league, man. I don't know where Chet is. What's Chet doing here? Chet talked a ton of shit last season about the 0 running backs and whatever bullshit. What did he have? Lamar Jackson. Oh, he's got a pretty good team. He's got Jackson, Chase, Davis, Fournette, AJ Dillon, Dalton Schultz, Darnell Mooney, George Pickens. Yeah, whatever. All right. Well, I'm sure I won't see him in the playoffs. All right. Anyway.
Okay. Yeah, you got a lot going on over there.
Yeah, I do. So, Super Bowl predictions.
Who do you got?
What do we do? Let's do championship game, AFC, championship game, NFC, and then a Super Bowl prediction. How's that sound for you? Can you handle that?
All right.
Mine's gonna be super unoriginal. So my AFC championship is Chargers Bills.
Okay.
Give me Chargers Bills. My NFC is Rams Bucks. I just don't think the NFC is deep enough for anything to change. And I'm taking Tommy Brady to spoil Buffalo's hopes. But he's taking Buffalo down one more time. He's getting his last ring. He rides off in the sunset, and he is done.
Wow. All right. I didn't expect it. So wait, so you got Chargers, Bills on the AFC side.
Chargers, Bills. Yep.
All right. You can't argue with that, right? I mean, that's pretty legit. Can't argue with it. And then you got the Bucks knocking off. Who you got?
Bucks knocking off the Rams.
Rams. Okay. And Tampa winning the Super Bowl.
Yep. Over Buffalo.
Well, if there's one thing you can usually count on, it's Buffalo losing the Super Bowl, at least if you're my age. And all right, so we're not that far off. I believe on the AFC side, I believe you will see a Bills-Chiefs championship game. I think it's rare, and it's going to be a shootout. It's going to be a crazy game. I tell you right now.
Bills Chiefs.
What's that? Bills Chiefs. I think it's all coming down to Josh Allen versus Pat Mahomes. It's all coming down a funnel. It's going to be played at, my guess is it probably gets played in Buffalo in shitty weather. But it'll be crazy. I mean, that'd be the matchup right there. It would be one of those years where the championship weekend sort of outshines the Super Bowl in terms of the on-field product. On the NFC side, I don't know why, but my gut just says the Minnesota Vikings are going to
You
have
think
a
Kirk Cousins
hell
is going to drive it?
of a season. There's something about young coaches in this league who come in and it's like I don't know what it is. It's like they're like drunk drivers. They just they can't hit anything and get hurt. So I don't know why, but I just think Kevin O'Connell somehow, and he's got, look, there's a lot of talent on that football team. I'm not telling you Kirk Cousins is tier one material, but there's a lot of talent around that football team. I think the Vikings are poised to have a hell of a season. Unfortunately for them, the road ends in Tampa for them because they will
You
come
think
up
it's Tampa
against
too, huh?
they're coming up against Tom Brady in the NFC title game. My Super Bowl is Brady and Mahomes, the rematch of the greatest of all time versus the guy who could be someday maybe the greatest of all time. But I think the same thing. This is like the Wade Boggs on a horse. This will be Tom Brady on a pirate ship. I think it's really over this time. This is the last ride for Tom Brady. He's got a fat TV contract and an angry wife out there waiting for him. So I think this is the last ride, but I think it goes all the way to the sunset. This is the last charge. One more ring, one more notch on the most amazing belt ever in the history of this game. And I look, I think they will deliver in two very exciting games. But I would expect that the Minnesota Vikings are going to kind of capture the hearts of football fans. I think they're going deep. So you give me a Chiefs Bills rematch, and then give me a Bucks Vikings. You'll see Mahomes and Brady in the Super Bowl, and you will see Tom Brady asking Pat Mahomes how his ass tastes by the end of it.
That's interesting, dude. I Minnesota's interesting, so right, because I think that division's interesting. I think that division's wide open. I don't think Green Bay is a slam dunk right now.
Nope.
Who knows what Rodgers is
Chicago's a
doing? Pop his
wreck.
perk. Chicago's a mess.
Detroit.
Detroit, Detroit's interesting. I think that's a cute story, but are they really going to be competitive deep? So Minnesota's got a real shot. I don't
They're
know if I
six.
can
So
put
there's so they're pretty much 6-0 right there, in my opinion.
yeah, they're probably 4-2, 5-1. I think that's legitimate. But I think I just can't see. It comes down to big games. I can't see Kirk Cousins dealing it out, man. I can't. I think the conference is weak, right? I think the NFC East is god awful. I really, Dallas is. Everybody's talking about Dallas. They're going to win the division because they're lucky, and the rest of the division sucks. That's it. Seattle's a mess. Arizona's going to be a mess. San Francisco has no quarterback. So you got the Rams. I just, New Orleans doesn't have Breeze anymore. I like Carolina, but Atlanta's a mess. So yeah, Minnesota's got a real shot. I just think when you start talking about him versus Brady, him versus Stafford, him versus some of those elite quarterbacks, he's going to struggle. But
I'm telling you, I just think there is something that happens in this league with the right young coach in the right situation. And I just think Minnesota's primed for it. I could be wrong. They could be a 500 ball club, but
no,
I feel
that's interesting. And I disagree a little with the Chiefs. I think that Tyreek Hill is going to be a real big miss for them. I think that's really going to hurt. I just think their division combined with that, I think the division is going to be way too tough. I think they're going to be burned out by the time they get to the regular season.
well, and
There's no bye weeks there.
this is going to be an interesting season to me in the sense that I think we're starting, the sort of wheel of life, the cycle of life, right? Andy Reid, I think has got to be coming towards the end of that run one way or another. I think, look, Bill Belichick. I mean, what is Bill going to coach 5 more years? I
Dude, I
mean,
don't, the Josh McDaniel leaving is very telling. That tells me one of two things. Either the Patriots are all in on Judge, Patricia, or Steve Belichick, or Bill said, F you, man, I'm not going anywhere. Because if that job was going to open in the next year or two, I can't imagine McDaniels goes to
right.
Las
So Bill's
Vegas.
Bill's 5 more years, right? I mean,
So,
he's got to be.
I guess the question is, were the Pats out on McDaniels, or was McDaniels out of the Pats? And I guess that's one thing that we just will never know. So it's interesting, dude. That's a really interesting take. And I think Andy Reid, man, I think that dude coaches till he dies. I think he just loves football. And I think he really loves Kansas City. So I think he's in it for the long haul.
I don't know. It's gonna be really, really interesting. The turn of the Brady, obviously Breeze. You're seeing this changing of the guard, but Brady. Look, I went through this. I already had a good cry, and I thought I had gotten myself through it. But then he came back. So now I'm primed for another good cry at the end of this deal. But I just hope this doesn't turn into a Ric Flair's last match scenario. I don't think it will. But you got to look now. You start looking at it and say, okay, look, this has to be it. This has to be it.
Close, very close.
It's got to be. This has to be it. He's like, I remember watching Steve DeBerg as a kid, right? And like, some of those guys, and you were like, man, this guy's 40 and he's still playing football. Brady is 45 years old.
Yeah, man. No, that's a good point. And I just worry, obviously something happened with him and Arians last year. I think that whole retirement, Arians stepping down, there was too much happening, the Miami stuff. So there's some grift there. But I think Brady's too good. I think he goes out on top. But I think the NFC is too weak. I think that's the other side of it. Is I think,
well, the road is paved, right?
Who knocks Tampa out? I mean, to me, if it's not the Rams, I don't know who it is. I don't think it's Dallas. And this Philadelphia stuff, everybody loves Hurts, and I love that Davis pick, dude from Georgia, that middle interior lineman. But I don't think Philly's got it. I don't think Hurts is the guy. I don't know that AJ Brown's going to make him any better. So who knocks him off? Minnesota's interesting. LA's interesting. That's probably it. I don't see a ton more out there that's going to really make a difference. So good Final Four, I think, for me, man.
Get fired up. Don't forget to hit DraftKings. Enjoy football. Like I said, it's football. Fall is about sports. Football, NASCAR playoffs, hockey's going to drop the puck, basketball's come back, baseball playoffs. Like this is probably the best time of year to be a sports fan.
Dude,
soak it up
for sure.
Yeah. All right, I think stick with Bros and Bourbon podcast. We're gonna give you all. We talk sports, we talk politics. We're topical. We are unfiltered, uncensored, off our rockers all the time. But don't forget to check out all the other Godzilla Media properties, Levac and Gaz, all the other shows that we're gonna be kicking their asses in fantasy football and all that stuff. So don't forget to check it out. Godzilla Media. Bros and Bourbon is a presentation of Godzilla Media, and we will present a new show next time.
Cheers.